This is Dolynny TV, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another edition of Edmonton Oilers discussion. And you know what? I wanted to get to this one yesterday, kind of let things ride with that Athens CU video. And here we are, getting to it after getting out of bed a little late this morning. But ladies and gentlemen, yesterday Bardown summarized up an overdrive interview on TSN from the other day, that being with Matthew Tkachuk, and a what could have been. Now this is a heck of a question for a lot of Oilers fans because look at it this way, alright? So, 2016, let's just go back to that NHL entry draft for a moment, shall we? Because that one maybe some Oilers fans have some sour grapes about, considering how things have kind of turned out recently with a guy named, I don't know, Jesse Puljujärvi, maybe? I don't know. Possibly. So, let's just go quickly check out how this went, alright? Auston Matthews, Patrik Laine. This is the draft after Connor McDavid's, right? 2015 was Connor McDavid. This was kind of the next one after McDavid failed to stay healthy, more like Brandon Manning tried to kill McDavid in the end boards. That's a whole nother debate aside. Well, then you had the two-headed monster, right? It was Auston Matthews, Patrik Laine. There was a little bit there for a while during that season. Maybe it's going to be Laine, maybe it's going to be Matthews. Then towards the end, there was no doubt it was going to be Matthews, especially if the Leafs got him. Well, then the next few guys on the board were these five guys, all right? So it was Pierre-Luc Dubois, Jesse Puljujärvi, Olli Levy, Matthew Tkachuk, and Clayton Keller. So that's your draft order from 3 to 7. The Oilers settled number 4 at Jesse Puljujärvi. But something I know we've talked about a lot as Oilers fans since that draft date is the choice by the GM of Columbus not to take Jesse Puljujärvi, right? GM of Columbus Finnish heritage. Well, you know what? He didn't take the Finnish kid, right? The highly touted second Finnish kid in the draft, Jesse Puljujärvi. Well, he didn't take him, and that instead he took Mr. Olli Levy. That's another Finnish kid that was highly touted that hasn't really done anything. Pierre-Luc Dubois went 3rd overall to the Columbus Blue Jackets. Let me just spit that out for you. But Matthew Tkachuk on overdrive pushed a little bit of a theory he has that if Columbus had have selected Jesse Puljujärvi 3rd overall, we would be seeing a very much so reversed Battle of Alberta, which would have had very, very complicated roster implications for our Edmonton Oilers ever since 2016, in which Matthew Tkachuk believed, in fact, even going as far to say on the interview with the boys from Overdrive, saying that, you know what, he had a jersey with his name under it, under the Edmonton Oilers draft table, in which as soon as Jesse Puljujärvi fell to at least 4th, the Oilers stripped off the nameplate and put on Tkachuk. Now that's some crazy stuff to just be thrown out there this much later, but the crazy part is, think about that, right? Matthew Tkachuk or Jesse Puljujärvi? Now, okay, back then, debate it how you will, no big deal, we get excited. You debate it now, my goodness, that raises a lot of life-altering questions for Oilers fans, maybe, especially after everything that's transpired in the Battle of Alberta this year. That's the hard part, right? For you to fathom, okay, we could have had Matthew Tkachuk over Jesse Puljujärvi in 2016. Yeah, you know what? That's probably a question we would have played with. Now, my goodness. For me, you imagine having Matthew Tkachuk? I mean, after everything I've said, after everything that's been done, oh my goodness, Turtle Central, no thank you kind of deal. But at the same rate, it's an interesting question because think about how much better Matthew Tkachuk has panned out than Mr. Jesse Puljujärvi, right? That's apples and oranges at this point in terms of NHL viability and NHL career stats. The problem is, as I developed this whole idea of doing this video is, as always, anytime I talk about one or the other in a draft, or it could have been this guy, it could have been that guy, I'll go back to that Matthew Barzal argument. I'll go back to any argument you want to talk about in the Oilers draft where they drafted the wrong guy. There is no guarantee, absolutely zero guarantee, that we would have drafted a guy right? Any of the guys that developed into star NHL players. So say if we would have drafted Matthew Tkachuk in 2016, there's absolutely no way to say Matthew Tkachuk would have became what he is today with the Calgary Flames. Because let me tell you the track record, right? The Oilers force guys in at 18 and they flop because they're forced in at 18. The pressure mounts, they get piled on, and then they collapse in on themselves. Obviously, right? That's happened time in, time out over the past several years with the Edmonton Oilers. So that's kind of where that debate comes to an end with me, right? Is, oh, we would have been better off with Matthew Tkachuk. Is, I can't tell you. Can you go reverse time and go do it? Can you do some kind of stupid advanced analytics, bang, 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 compare a whole team if you add this in? And no, you can't account for nothing. That's the problem, right? You can't account for throwing a Matthew Tkachuk in 2016 and saying what he would be today with the Oilers. There's absolutely no metric in the world that will give you an accurate, actual, correct answer on that. And that's the frustrating part when you start debating this stuff, is because, you know what, yeah, sure, cool. You know what, the Oilers had a jersey with Tkachuk's name on the back, according to Tkachuk. Then the phone started ringing, and Yes Puljujärvi got selected instead. And man, you know what, we really don't like what Yes Puljujärvi's turned out to be so far, because, you know what, the door, I know a lot of people want to leave it open, so I'll leave it open just for the sake of argument. But right, we don't like what we've got so far, and then all of a sudden you've got a Matthew Tkachuk saying, "Hey, I was going there until nope, they decided not to take me." Well, you know what? Sorry, can't say that he'd pan out any better or worse. That's the tough part, right? Is you really don't know, but it's just an interesting story and something to sit here and ponder on a fine Sunday afternoon. As you know what, it's something you don't get to hear often from, right? That draft day experience, those stories where the player knows and then gets switched up on early. Because I honestly don't recollect too many stories from the past few drafts where a guy in the top 5, top 6, top 7, wherever Chuck went, top 6, where he knew he was going higher and then dropped because he watched the action take place according to himself, right? This is not verified by video cameras or anything, but this is something that Tkachuk thinks he saw. He even goes as far in the interview to say that the Oilers table was smiling at him and his mom and kind of amping him up to be selected 4th overall before Columbus took Pierre-Luc Dubois. But just kind of something, these kind of stories come out in time to time, and these are the fun ones in hockey history, right? And again, back to, they're no better, no worse than Jesse Puljujärvi. Well, that's kind of the hockey what if, and I get it, right? I love time to time to play hockey what if, but it's just frustrating when you're trying to move forward to play hockey what if. But today on a slower news day, something very well worth talking about, and you talk about, you know what, if Mr. Matthew Tkachuk had turned out to be as good as he was with the Calgary Flames in terms of points. I don't want to talk about him being good because that would be talking about the rival, but right, 18-19 last year, 77 points. No matter what, he's blown Yes Puljujärvi out of the water every single season of his career. So that's just something right there, right? Matthew Tkachuk, a bona fide point scorer, past all that. But again, go back to my first argument. Would you take the turtle on your team? I'm sorry, at this point, knowing what we know according to Matthew Tkachuk and knowing what we know of him now as an NHL player, would you take that embarrassment on your team? I'm sorry, would you? I really don't get it. And I know there's still some people who will be like, why are you calling it an embarrassment? He's a Calgary Flame. You know what? You hate the Calgary Flames as an Oilers fan, and that's just how it goes. So that's, go to the 80s. I'm sure much worse was said about the players on the opposing team in the Battle of Alberta. All right, so you know what, Matthew Tkachuk, an embarrassment, turtle. No clue if he could pan out better or worse in Edmonton than Jesse Puljujärvi did. I'm really not set in stone that I'm upset that Jesse Puljujärvi got selected over Matthew Tkachuk, because quite honestly, who knows? And at this point, comes one of those, who cares? He's on the other side, can't take it back now. Get it over with, get it dealt with. This is a fun story. That's it. End of story. And we'll cut it there, guys. I'm Tyson. This is Dolynny TV. Thank you so much for tuning into this. Actually, I said it was an afternoon edition. It is 10:44 as I record this. My goodness, I should have slept last night. I am up on out of here.